These people are operating still on the margins of society, but they are moving to the mainstream, and they're moving there with confidence. And I think also those that initially opposed Sipka and Benny to become more influential, they start to realize that this organization has something to offer, primarily because poverty is still rife, and what they do is very practical. Apart from dealing with the land rights issue, they deal with the poverty issue, and the chocolate is sort of just a wonderful expression of how they're doing it. I see Sipka Benny very much as an example of what every self-respecting organization, any self-respecting company would need. And that is, you need a place in the organization where you can experiment. You need a part of the organization where you can do your research and development. And Sipka Benny, for us, if you want, is a small laboratory of how you can bring about innovation. And for us, in their lifetime, the program in all its aspects has been and is for us a source of inspiration, because that's where we can do our experimentation. We are learning, the partners are learning, and it is also working with partners to prepare for a future where maybe some of the things that we still take for granted are no longer available. The fact that grant making and funding, the way that we know it, is always available, I think is a very, it's indeed, that is part of our history, but will it be part of our future? That's what we don't know. So we need to prepare for the future whereby funding may not be coming in a way that we have known it, and in their lifetime helps us to prepare for that. So the focus is on innovation, and as Loretta already indicated, I wanted to talk about India because I'm just back from India, so I said don't talk about it, I'll do it. But just to illustrate, I visited Jharkhand. Jharkhand is a new state in India that used to be part of Bihar. It's mainly a tribal area of eastern India. And I got there, we flew to Calcutta, then we took the night train to a place called Sahibganj, and then we must have been sitting in a car for about 5 hours over very bumpy roads, and then you get out of the car, you start walking, and then when it started raining, I thought, I'm too old for this. But you arrive in a village, a tribal village, up in the mountains, in a place where the road does not reach. And we have been working in that community now for a number of years. And one of the first things we saw, because we arrived in the evening, was actually the solar lanterns that were introduced there through the In Their Lifetime project. And yes, poverty will not be solved by introducing solar lanterns, but the difference it makes for the people is enormous. And people showed me what difference it makes. Children doing their homework with good light in the evening. Women explaining that going out at night when a small child has to go to the toilet, which is just outside the hut basically in the fields, no longer is an obstacle course, and they no longer run the risk of falling flat in the mud. But also, one of the people I asked why he had he wasn't given a lamp, he bought the lamp. Why he bought it, he said, well, my house burned down because we used to use kerosene, and actually, when you have a thatched roof, there is some risk there. It's very clearly, if you have the experience of having your house burned down, you don't need any further explanation. It's a simple thing, and it is brought within the reach of people who live on less than $1 a day. But I realized, and actually I was a bit cross, because with a partner, they showed me around, and yes, it was great. In that community, there were 18 lamps, but about 70 families. So there's still more than 40 families without, more than 50 families actually, without this light. They said, well, it's quite expensive. It's about 1,400 rupees. 1,400 rupees, that is how much? That's less than 15 pounds. It's not a huge amount. But these people at best earn about 100 rupees a day, if they have a job. But most of them don't have a job. They gather firewood, they sell bamboo, and if it's market day. If there's no market, then they can't sell it. So actually most of these people live outside the cash economy. They don't have an income. They do make money once in a while, but it is not like there is a regular income. And you can argue that saving £1.50 a month by not having to buy kerosene, by not being exposed to the fumes of kerosene, by not having just a very small light, but actually having a bright light. £1.50 a month is not much. I mean, you can save that, so within a few months' time you can earn back. But if you don't have any cash in the household, it's a huge investment. But we are now working, I think, not just with the bottom of the pyramid. We are working with what is beyond, what's below the pyramid. People who really are at the bottom end of society, bridging that gap between the market and their needs through the use of solar lamps, using methods of credit. And people want it. They're not asking for free gifts. We make it possible for them to get to that technical solution, but it is not that we are just handing it out. We are actually working with people so that they can afford it, but they own it, and they will use it to the best of their ability to make it work for them. One very innovative bit of use was that a farmer told me that he's actually not allowing his family to use it at night, because if it's harvest season, he goes to the fields and he sits in the field and he says this: the best threat to wild pigs is to shine the light on them in the middle of the night. So, well, hey, no idea, but this was a bit of innovation they had worked out for themselves. But this is beyond the end of the road. This is beyond the bottom of the pyramid. This is really going there where poverty is at its deepest, at its most persistent. And bridging that gap, which cannot be bridged simply by a bit of technology, but also by the social infrastructure to allow it. That is what in their lifetime has helped us understand better and do better. In the room next door, you will have seen a number of other examples of in their lifetime. I do want to mention Nochari, a cooperative in Nicaragua that has commercialized hibiscus flowers that actually are used for making a drink. They sell it to the local equivalent of Walmart. And we are supporting them to allow further market access and to expand their production, to bring more producers into the production. And instead of doing that with a grant, we are doing that actually with a mixture of grant but also loan funding, so that if it makes commercial sense, they should be able to earn the money back, so the money can be put to work harder and longer and go further. That's the idea also around in their lifetime. Make the money work hard. It's not about like for like. A pound of money in is a pound of development. It's a pound in, and we need to be looking for £1,000 return or £10,000 return. I think we're getting in that direction. We haven't quite achieved it yet. Others, Sierra Leone I won't talk about now. Kenya was already referred to. I do want to mention the Middle East, an area where there's a lot of social change happening at the moment, but where there is still a lot of deeply entrenched poverty. And working with Palestinian women in Lebanon, who often fall outside the legal framework of Lebanon. They don't have any right under the law. So to make a living, to sustain their families, often living in camp situation, urban camp situation, is extremely difficult. But by making resources available so that women can develop their entrepreneurship within that setting, and it's not all, well, the example is one about hairdressing, but there is also stuff around setting up websites and getting women into non-traditional roles. That hand in hand with trying to change the legal framework that the Lebanese government provides to allow people to earn their own living so they don't need to rely on welfare provided by the United Nations. That is what is also in their lifetime about. It is about getting to those hard-to-reach places with solutions that are not necessarily run-of-the-mill things that have been tried and tested. We are experimenting and we are looking for new ways. And I'm deeply grateful to those of you who have already supported us over the past years with a real fund that allows us to innovate, to bring innovation into the work that also, like any other business, like any other undertaking, needs that energy to sustain and to succeed. So thank you very much.